A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. We have just finished our Best Quick Detailer 2025 series, all of it. 4 heats, 1 grand final that have been running for 2 to 3 months. It's been a ton of work, but a ton of fun. And I think we've learned a lot about the products, and we're going to do some final finishing off videos, and this is one of them. And the purpose of this video is really that the point scoring from least all the way through to first gives you something, gives us a good mechanical crunching exercise on all these different areas of performance. But does it really identify what is the best quick detailer spray? And I think the answer is no. The problem we have when we're measuring performance is you might not value that performance. There's some people that do and really love beady kind of long-lasting products, and some people that want value and cheap and easy to apply with quick detailers. Some that might want somewhere in between. The argument that came up a lot in the comments is that too many of the products here are spray waxes and not spray sealants, and they should maybe have detailer in the name. And that's true, totally agree, yeah. But some of the products, and I'm looking at this, that are identified as detailers are more spray sealant-y than some of the products which identify as spray waxes, maybe like the Griots, for example. So it's all over the place, and like whether the brands stick the word detailer on there or not is some of these are definitely spray sealants. But let's just latch on to the fact that we're looking for the best overall detailer here, and let's let that guide us. The one that picked up the most marks is the least suitable for quick detailer duties because it needs knocking down. What I think Turtle Wax have done with this product is, yes, made a versatile, made a cheap, relatively cheap spray wax that you can use as a drying aid, and you can protect your car when you wash it and do your glass, do your wheels with it, protect everything really, even trims and all that sort of stuff. They've loaded it with active ingredients to the point where it needs knocking down, and that wet wipe knocks it down. So really, when it comes to using it as a quick detail, you wouldn't grab this to wipe some smudges off your car. It falls into that spray wax category, and it's so rich in actives. But this won because it was actually one off the podium on price, and then like the glossiest, up there on the slickest, on knocking on the podium. All of the performance testing, hydrophobics, durability, all sort of like knocking on the podium or on the podium. And even though it's the least, even though it's the least kind of detailing user experience, and I gave it 1 mark, it still had enough to pick up 42. Yeah, that's because it is a little bit of a monster. But no, let's just rule that out for me, because of what I've just said. The next one, I've got to rule out Sonax BSD because as a quick detailer, no, this is a spray sealant all day long. It's a hydrophobic spray sealant. It really is. Yeah, I mean, it's really rich, and the material is so repellent. Someone said to me that it's a paraffin wax emulsion, which would be interesting, but there's something else in there. It's not just like wax. Whatever the formula for that is, it's very old-fashioned, but it's so ahead of its time. But that's a spray sealant. Surely you can't be serious, and don't call me Shirley. So we've just ruled out 2 there that for me they can't do their quick detailer functions. And over here I'd rule out the Autoglym and the Griots. Again, a bit like the Meguiars. Especially with the Autoglym, it seems to work better when there's a bit of water to knock it down. If you use it dry, you definitely need to be careful with heat on there, and I think it tells you that on the instructions. Yeah, it's such a powerful resinous product that it inhibits it as a detail spray. And indeed, it doesn't identify as a detail spray, but it's got loads of credit. These products within our test have had all the credit for their protective things. And in this video, the aim is for me to just tell you why they're not suitable. It doesn't, they're just different. It doesn't mean they're poor detailers. It just means they're leaning over too much into that spray wax category. Same with the Griots, although that goes on a bit nicer. It identifies a bit more as a thing as a detailer. Those products are too far. They step across that blurry line. The ones over here, there's a slight thinness to them and a looseness and a sort of less active, more watery kind of experience that's more in line with the detail spray, although they're still all guilty of cheating a little bit by pumping up the actives and like getting close to spray sealant levels. They're all guilty of that. So yeah. Now, how do I go about ruling out the ones that I think are the best in this field? Because these are all pretty good actually. All of these are hydrophobic. The Meguiars and the Sonax edge that front. Here's how I would do it. The Meguiars and the Sonax are very similar appearance. They're not the same chemically. Very similar, not a million miles away price-wise. Both incredibly beady and hydrophobic, but both that hydrophobicity does tail off a little bit more than some of these more durable products. So these are bona fide detailers for me, very hydrophobic. The Sonax, I would rule it out because of its main Achilles heel, which is a lack of slickness for me. Yeah, why compromise on something that is very important, I think, to the quick detailer experience? And a lot of people tell me, we all want slickness, don't we? We all do. Now we're getting through to like 5 products here that are pretty all-round solid and very hard to differentiate. And I'm now going to differentiate the Carbon Collective. It's more expensive than all of these. I think it's $19.99. So, you know, price per litre knocking on the door of £40, which is very expensive. And you compare it to that, which is $10.95, so £22. It's not quite half the price. This is the second most expensive product in the test after the Griots. When it's priced that high, it needs to show that performance for me. You know, outbead these, because this is a hydrophobic product. So outbead these and it can't. Outlast them and it can't. Outslick them, it can't. Outgloss them. I think it's done pretty well on gloss testing. Yeah, but its performance, it represents a good bar of where you'd want a ceramic detailer to be. And we're getting close to the stage where there's nothing fundamentally wrong with this. It does everything reasonably well. But I've given you the reasons that when we're whittling them down now, you've got to be knocking on the 9 or 10 doors and blasting stuff away. Now, this is difficult. We have 4 products that I'd have happily sitting on my shelf, and I know they'd all be stonkers. I think, yeah, it's very difficult now. I was just about to change my mind. I think that perhaps the next one I would knock out would be the Meguiars if I had to rank these. It doesn't have class-leading slickness. Everything else on this Meguiar's product is pretty much top drawer. People tell me it's expensive, and I always thought the same, it's expensive, but it wasn't. Within this field, it was a 7 out of 10, I think, on price. So let's just, I'm having to go back to my data here. Sorry, 6 out of 10 on price. There's 4 more cheaper products, but still above average. The durability was lower within the field, but I don't care about that in this thing. Yeah, the slickness and the gloss it didn't do so well on, but a good user experience. Yeah, so I haven't really noticed like a real slickness with it, which you can get with ceramics, and some of these other products have got it in abundance. I also, in my head, and this is a lot of my personal opinion, I like a translucent material more than the really milky white material, because if you put too much of this on, if you do put too much of this on, especially dry, then you can notice the white film a bit more with a really rich white material. But if you get it on, or there's a bit of water, or you've got a damp applicator and you spread it over, or damp pre-cloth, you prime your cloth, whatever, you get the wet film over the car and you buff it, you'll be fine. But just, yeah, the reason I'm knocking this out now is because of lack of slickness and that white quality to it. Yeah, yeah, very good though, very good. Which leaves us with 3 products that now we're getting difficult, and it is tiny things that are making me whittle my way down to my favourite product. The next one I would whittle out of these 3 is the Labo Cosmetica Perfecta. I like the slickness when you apply this. It seems to be sliding to me. I like the fact it's advertising anti-dust, anti-static, which is good. I like most things about this product. It's not too rich that you feel like you're not using a detail spray. It's well presented. It's good instructions. It's good quality triggers. Everything about this product's good. No, it's not a powerhouse on durability. No, it's not market leading in hydrophobicity. Yeah, it didn't really podium anywhere. And I'm sorry, I'm going back to this again when I shouldn't. And it is you know, quite expensive. Did they say they missed the trick about telling you can use it? Oh no, they didn't. No, you can use it as a drying aid. Yeah, I like the technical side of it. If you want to layer it, you got to wait 12 hours for a cure time, which that smells more like a spray sealant-y thing to me. Yeah, but it did well. It's just good. But yeah, you can see there in that performance rating, like. There are products, I don't want to talk about that performance too much. Yeah, there's another thing as well. If you open it up, it's also creamy and white, and you can see that a little bit when you apply it. So what I was saying to the Meguiars might apply to this, but we've got to whittle them down. That I put through as a wild card because I thought there's no way that can't go through to the final. And I'm glad I put it in there because it is good, but I sort of see it performance-wise very similar to the Feynlab. But I'll tell you why I prefer the Feynlab now. So this whittles me down to 2 products in this particular test that are both new to me and have stood out from this crowd as I've been doing all of these heats. And when I looked at them, I thought they were so good. I'm going to shoot individual videos on both of these because they're crackers. Now let's just rule out the one that I'm going to knock out next. It's the Alchemy, and I had to think long and hard about this because it's a lot cheaper at $10.95, and that is a really good price point for a performance detailer. We've talked about the fact that they just, you know, that all of the bigger brands give you more marketing info or more descriptive info on what a quick detailer is, surface suitability. They've nailed all that. Storage, you know, instructions and all that stuff, and they've neglected to do it here and put quite a simple description. And because of that, you don't really get to know too much about this product. Yeah, ultra gloss, ultra slick, I guess. Yes, it is, but it's durable, it's protective. Tell us all this. Tell us that it's ceramic, it's SiO2 maybe. Why then have I ruled this out over the Feynlab? Because it's a lot cheaper, $10.95, second cheapest. Yeah, I'm not sure about what I can use it on, but it doesn't last as long as any of the other products in this test. And the hydrophobic performance was lower than everything but the Griots, I think. The funny thing is the durability of this product is good. And the hydrophobic performance is good. It's just you're up against all of these brands that have figured how to make it be like crazy. So that's a really strange scaling. But the cool thing about this product, it did well. Initially, the first set of gloss testings, it didn't do well. This one, it did good, but less of a factor for me. It's more how... You know, it's a factor in the main test, but less of a factor when I'm talking about them. I like a performance ceramic detailer. I want it to lay down slick, and I want it to sort of harden slick. That's very important. I love it when they're cheap. I just think this was really, really good. Some people were saying that, a couple of people, more than one, and when more than one say it, I have to listen, that the product kind of tacks up in the bottle, and someone had a 5-litre jerry can of it and it was a bit sort of gloopy. I haven't seen that with this product. It's all still fine. And I've had it, you know, 2 or 3 months, and it's been in here in the heat, and yeah, the product's fine. There's no sign of it tacking up or doing anything dodgy. It's absolutely fine. So I'm always careful about that, because I don't want to recommend something where the product spoils. But no, I haven't seen any sign of that. That is my second favourite quick detailer in this lineup. Yeah, that's a stonker, absolute stonker. So if you're a bit more skeptical on price, then that is definitely one to go for. But you want a performance ceramic that dries slick and will boost. That gives you enough that you could just use that on its own. That will outperform a lot of old school paste waxes, no problem. Very good modern product. My favourite product in this test is the Feynlab Hybrid Ceramic Detailer. Why? Because it isn't the cheapest, John. You're always going on about price. So this product, if I blind tested all these, it's got a lightness to it when it goes on the panel, a thinness to it. I talked in the final about it has low wetting. So on a prepped surface, when I applied it, and you're spreading them out, you're swabbing them out, some of the products, they've got very high wetting and they form a wet film really easily. This one almost like rejects the panel and it beads, you know, it's got low wetting, but it still forms a film of the active material, because when you go to buff it, you buff off the surface and you can see where it's applied. But because of that, it seems to come off the panel really nice. It's got a lightness to it. But with that low wetting, it also has a slickness when you buff it and a slickness when it sets that's really nice. So it feels like a slidey, lightweight detailer spray, which is important. But then this product does stick on the panel well. It can take a beating, you know, but it's not too much of a spray wax. These products over here are they're too turboed, and you notice the richness of them and the considerations around applying them. You have to apply them a bit more like a spray wax and be careful of them and not lay out too much product. This has got a lightness and a thinness to it. So it really identifies to me as a detailer. And if I got this and used it, I would just think, this is a really slick, lightweight detailer. All right, great. But it won't last very long. But it also delivers on that hydrophobicity and durability. Yeah, it probably will do about 3 months. I don't think it's overhyped either. It's just kind of very professional the way they've described it. This is what a ceramic detailer should be. It shouldn't just bridge the gap between a spray wax and a traditional detailer. It should be able to identify and feel like those slick traditional detailers that are light to apply, but then also give you this deceptive amount of performance to the point where this product can do it all. You can use it as a standalone product to maintain your car, and it gives you beyond wax protection, you know, much better than those traditional paste waxes. It will outlast most of them unless they've got some sneaky modern formulas in there, you know what I mean? It can top a ceramic coating. It can be used as a drying aid. It can be used as just like tidy up panels, remove fingerprints and dust, and you get a lovely slide going. Yeah, it's my favourite on there. So that would be the one that I would recommend, and that will be the one that will go on my shelf. Now, here's a really important question for you. When something's good, I always go and look at the bulk price. 80 quid for 5 litres of it. It stops me in my tracks, because it's easy to talk about how good something is when you've got it there and you've got it on your shelf. But when then you've got to go and spend the money again next time, £80 is a lot of money. You obviously get the value when you buy bulk. I don't like spending £80 on car cleaning products, and we're all going, I'm telling you now about me, my personal thoughts, all that sort of stuff. I don't like spending £19 for 500ml of hybrid ceramic detailer spray. We looked at the Labo product that I've got in there, the Hydro Save that you can mix down and make 500 ml of detailer spray, which adds hydrophobicity, and you only put 10 ml of active ingredient in it. The rest is water, and it adds a hydrophobic effect, and it's quite slick. And that bottle cost me 26p to mix down. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't have the je ne sais quoi. It doesn't have that slickness that this has. It won't last as long because there's not enough in there. You know, there's not enough actives in there at 10 ml with the Labo rinseless wash. But it's going back to the same point I made about the spray waxes. Do you need to spend that sort of money on something in the detailing genre? That is the crunch question that I don't know the answer to. And you only know the answer when it comes to you getting your wallet out and busting out the cash. So when I'm out of detail sprays, and I'll never be, will I bust out the cash and buy this? Or will I just say, I don't need it? I'm just going to use rinselesses and like mix them down. And that Labo one, if I want to top up my protection, I'll use that one. If I don't and I want to slick just the wipe down, I could use the Koch one. And then really, I'm beating the system because those chemicals are incredibly cheap and affordable. The truth is it's going to vary from person to person, and I don't even know. All I know, and I think you have to be aware of it, and it's the channel's job to make you aware of all this cost stuff. But all I know is that is a phenomenal chemical, and I'm really pleased to have discovered it in this test. Yeah, phenomenal. I went up, you know, after doing it, the video on it, you know, and like deciding that this is my personal favourite, I went and had a look on the Feynlab website and started reading about it and how they wanted to build something which really wasn't compromised as a detail spray, you know, and had all these protective qualities. And I thought, yeah, they've actually done that. I can see, you know, if you were new to all this and you just read that, you'd think, they all say that, they all say that. I can see that brief, that in how the chemical performs. It really is so light and slick, but with great protective performance. So yeah, cracking chemical. And we've covered the thing that we need to cover. The elephant in the room is always with this detailing stuff is price, and that is where you need to be aware. For a lot of people, I think, that watch the channel, all of this detailing stuff is kind of like a hobby, and they get enjoyment out of having different products and putting different products on the shelf and trying different products and stuff like that. And you know, it's 20 quid, which isn't a lot of money to some people. But then there's other people that watch. That they just look at that price and just think, no, I can pay pennies instead of pounds. And then, yeah, and so that's why we cover that. Look at this. That's Dan's Timeless Classics. Dan, if you're watching, stop putting your hands on my car when you're sitting in the passenger seat. Yeah. So there we go. It's thrown me. So the Feynlab is my favourite product. We've covered why. I feel like a bit like when I finished the rinseless wash testing, I'm sort of like, I've had enough of these rinseless washes now. You know, it doesn't really matter which one you use. It's the same with these quick detailer sprays. It doesn't really matter which one you use. You use any of them. The worst one in the test is probably completely fit for purpose. But I really feel like we have rooted them down, and that would be a star performer. And we've given you all the value breakdowns and stuff within the test. If you're into value, then it's the built hamber, isn't it? Because it's a concentrate. But if you're really into value, like we did in that other video with the HydroSave, the HydroSave is probably one of the most high value quick detailers, to the point where if you mix it down at 26p to mix up a 500ml bottle, if there is something cheaper, it's only going to be pennies cheaper. It's so cheap, no one gives a monkey's. It's cheap enough that it doesn't matter. 26p is shrapnel in your pocket to anybody. Even, you know, even homeless people on the streets will have 26p in their pocket, probably. And you can find it. Where am I going with this? Anyway, when you start digressing, it's time to end the video. Thank you for making it all the way through, and we'll end this one here. Doug.